Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Liverpool. And today's game ended Liverpool 2, Manchester United 0. We've been talking about in the last couple of episodes the Liverpool machine, and it's very much that case. The Liverpool machine keeps rolling on, keeps moving on, keeps continuing with the same intensity and consistency that champions are made of. And another fantastic result for us at home against it was the second of a kind of a double header that many pundits and maybe even some fans, including me, were kind of like, if we can see out both the Christmas period and these couple of tough games in January, then and still be in the position we're in, we would definitely be in a very, very favourable position to go on and increase our chances of winning the league. I'm not going to say we are going to win the league yet. I know there was some chance in the game and things like that, but for me, trying to stay grounded game by game, as Klopp always does, and we'll see it by then. But yeah, this was really much the Tottenham game and this game were the games where they were a potential curveball for us. Obviously, we dropped points against United earlier this season where we didn't really turn up, and there was a funny interview with Mo Salah actually during the week where he goes, well, the reason we didn't turn up is because I wasn't playing, and I think he definitely had a bit of a point to prove in this game. But yeah, after we got through the Christmas and after we got through Tottenham and Manchester United, we still had a healthy lead, then we'd be in a very good position. And obviously with Manchester United and both Leicester actually dropping points this weekend as well, only strengthens our supremacy and dominance at the top of the league. And it's looking very, very unlikely now that even if we do slip up and we do lose a game here or there, that the chasing pack, they won't. I think they've all kind of lost a bit of hope, and even if we do slip up points, I don't think any of the teams are playing good enough to capitalise on any major mistakes that we may make. Yeah, the game started off, from a Liverpool perspective, exactly how you would like. I think obviously we were at home, so we kind of came out, set the pace, as was expected before the game, because kind of the way Ole Gunnar Solskjaer likes to play. United were sitting back and were looking to hit us on the counter-attack. Obviously they were missing Marcus Rashford for this game, who's a big part of that, but obviously Martial and Daniel James are very quick on the counter-attack and could cause some problems. So the game started out as you kind of would expect, but as we've spoken about before, or as I've spoken about in other episodes, when we do get an early goal, it makes such a difference to our confidence for the remaining part of the game, and really kind of just demoralises our opponents. And that's exactly what happened in the 13th minute, or the 14th minute, Trent Alexander-Arnold with yet another assist. We can eulogise about him as much as we want, but seeing assists from Trent Alexander-Arnold now has just become very normal, which is absolutely incredible to say. He's a young right back, and he's got, I think, 10 assists now this season. You'd love that from your number 10 or your creative midfield player, and we've got that from our right back, and we're only in January. But yeah, it was a fantastic cross, and Virgil van Dijk there rising above the defenders, and able to just bury the ball there past David De Gea. De Gea had absolutely no chance, because the ball was, one, so close to him, but two, so fast. It was a fantastic leap there from Virgil, and De Gea had no chance. And Virgil van Dijk kind of completely out-jumped and out-muscled Harry Maguire there. Obviously Maguire took his crown as the most expensive defender, but there was only one best defender there, and it was very obvious to see that was Virgil van Dijk. And I guess you kind of look at the comparison. You go, maybe 18 months ago, Harry Maguire was playing at Leicester. He was in top form. Those were the kind of goals he was scoring for England in the World Cup particularly. But now it's kind of, his confidence has gone a bit. He looks like he's become worse of a player since he's gone to Manchester United. There's a funny clip of I think where Gini Wijnaldum just absolutely breezes past him in the second half. But yeah, Maguire, it looks like he lost it a little bit and kind of just fallen into what's going on at Manchester United now. But not too much about them. We don't want to take away from a fantastic leap and a header from Virgil van Dijk. And I think I think we grew in confidence after that. Obviously, once we have that goal, we know that Manchester United are going to sit back. It kind of takes a little bit of pressure off us, and it puts the onus really on Manchester United to go, what are you going to do? You're going to come out and attack us, which will obviously leave us more space. And they were set up in a way that they could play 5 at the back or 3 at the back if they wanted to. But we nearly did get the second goal. Well, we did get it, I think. So in my opinion, I think we did get it. So there's a corner that came in, and Mo Salah, actually very similar. The ball reminded me of the Origi goal against Everton, where the ball came out and Mo Salah kind of mishit it, and the ball went quite high in the air. And Virgil van Dijk was eyes on the ball, looking up, no hands not in anyone's face or anything like that, and jumped with David De Gea. David De Gea dropped the ball, the ball came out to Mane. Mane just had a very nice little reverse ball into Bobby Firmino, who was able to curl it into the far corner. It was a fantastic finish. But it was checked by VAR and was ruled out for a foul by Virgil van Dijk on David De Gea. Now, I guess obviously the Manchester United players were livid, you would be, just because it went against you. But I think, if that happens for you, I think regardless of what team you are, I think that's you feel hard done by. And the reason I say that is because the goalkeeper has the advantage of being able to use his arms. It's very, very rare that penalties are given for a keeper fouling a player, unless it's completely unnecessary, or like taking him down if he's gone past him. But David De Gea's got the advantage of being able to use his hands and reach up for the ball. Virgil van Dijk only can reach up with his head, sorry. And so then being able to claim that he is both fouled on top of that just feels a bit kind of maybe this is one of the things with VAR where it's the rule that we have the problem with, not necessarily VAR. But I don't think it was a foul. And then obviously we had the Wijnaldum goal again as well, who was rolled out correctly for offside this time. The referee actually in the stadium flagged that one for offside. So there's nothing much you can complain about that, but it was great play anyway. It was interesting to see one of our midfielders break forward, and actually Oxlade-Chamberlain more in that number 6 position, playing that ball into Wijnaldum. So it was a great bit of play anyway, but just unfortunate that Wijnaldum was just a touch offside. And in the second half, I think Klopp came out in his post-match press conference and said actually the first 10 minutes in the second half were really, really good for us. And it was kind of strange, watching it was like we were the only team that kind of wanted to come out and win the game and seal it. And you wouldn't have thought, we were the team that were leading up, being 1-0 ahead. And it was very strange to see from Manchester United. Maybe they weren't just able to flick that switch and move from the way they were playing into a more attacking force. Maybe they kind of only had one game plan. And I don't want to get too into it, but that kind of, for me, shows one of the many problems in Manchester United at the moment. There are lots and lots of people and lots of pundits and fans who would talk about the failings of Manchester United through recruitment, through coaching or whatever. But what was mainly apparent for me today watching that game was that they failed to have an additional game plan. They came to sit back and take a draw. Martial was kind of almost playing up front on his own. There wasn't much support for him. And they went behind early and they just weren't able to switch it up. However, they did create a couple of chances in the second half. Most notably for me was the Martial one. It was great. It was a nice little bit of play with the 1-2. I think it was with Fred. But yeah, you can tell, he was kind of unsure about what to do when he was in that position. And I definitely should have got the ball on target. Probably should have scored actually. But he blasted the ball, kind of sliced it almost, and let back a bit, and the ball went way over the bar. And they did kind of grow in confidence a little bit, Manchester United, and in many ways I think this game was actually quite similar to the Spurs game, where obviously we got the goal in the first half. And we started the second half a bit dominant, but as the second half wore on, the opposition did grow in confidence a little more, and that was showed by a couple of the chances that Manchester United made. But the game was done and dusted, finally, in the final minute, as Manchester United had a corner, but the ball just fell tamely into Alisson's hands, who was able to wind up that sidewinder kick and free the ball to Mohamed Salah, obviously, who was in his own half, and so therefore not offside. And then he was able to hold off Daniel James. We've spoken a lot about, and many people have spoken about, Daniel James's pace and how good he's been this season. He has been relatively good, but in that moment, last minute of the game, chasing back against Mo Salah, he was just nowhere to be seen. Salah using his strength fabulously to hold him off and then just slot the ball past David De Gea. It was a fantastic little finish, and giving us the little abs show for his celebration. I was actually thinking when I was watching that, I was like, "There's very Cristiano Ronaldo." It's a couple of years ago you see Cristiano Ronaldo flexing the abs or whatever, and Mo Salah maybe feels feels like he wants a piece of that pie as well. But yeah, it was the icing on the cake. Obviously, we deserved to win. Jurgen Klopp even said in his post-conference, you look at the game, you look at the chances created, look at the play, and chances created, all of that good stuff. And there was only really going to be one winner in that game. And yeah, it's actually, as I mentioned earlier, it was quite similar to the Spurs game in that way. Obviously, towards the end of the game, if you were watching the game, you would have heard that the Liverpool fans are started to sing, we're going to win the league. And I think the reason they did that is because of the reason I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. And I think we'd earmarked the Christmas period and then the Tottenham and Manchester United games as kind of, if we can get through this and still have that lead intact, we've actually grown the lead, then we would be in a very good position to win the league. And I think just some of that relief when Salah's goal went in led maybe some of the fans to start singing that. But obviously Klopp said in his press conference as well, he can't dictate to the fans what to sing, but his stance is always, they're there to work, they are there to take every game by every game, and obviously we've just got the Premier League now which we can focus on, but the Champions League will be starting up again soon. We've got the next round of the FA Cup coming up next weekend also, so the games will start coming thick and fast, and I think once those come and we start facing some tougher teams, I think the focus will come back. But I think the players can't get carried away by that as well. I think obviously if you're sitting in that Liverpool camp right now, you must be starting to think, have we done it? Have we done it already? But the job is not done, and I have faith in Klopp that he won't let the players think that it's done. And I think obviously the same seems to be said for the crowd. Even though we're starting to sing we're going to win the league, I think it can go two ways. It can go one way in the positive way, in that all of the home games now for the rest of the season are going to be a great party atmosphere. We're ready to celebrate, or we're going to the crowd are going to go a bit flat because we're kind of going to just assume that we're going to beat teams. But I really do hope it is the former of those, because as Klopp said, and this is so obvious, the crowd plays such an important part for us and why we've been unbeaten at home for so long. But next up for us is Wolves on Thursday. I think this has kind of got removed or something. I'm not really sure why we're playing on a Thursday. I don't think there's a midweek round of fixtures. Obviously there's a Carabao Cup second legs as well, and obviously Wolves played the replay of the FA Cup midweek last week, and then obviously had the very, very entertaining game actually against Southampton. I watched the highlights of that game, and to come from 2-0 down, I think they have the most points from losing positions this season in the Premier League. So they're a team that don't roll over. And obviously when we played them at Anfield, it was a very close game, and that was without Adama Traore or Raul Jimenez playing for them. So once those two players are back in, it will be a very different proposition. But we were resting players also when we played them, and we've got 4 days to rest up, and then we've got the FA Cup at the weekend as well. So I'm sure the players will be raring to go, and as is always the case, I fully expect a win away at Molineux. But I'm under no doubts that it will be a difficult game. It won't be easy, but nevertheless, I'm looking forward to it. Should be a great game. I'm hoping to see more goals from Salah and the like. But let me guys know what you thought of this game and what your predictions are for the Wolves game. But thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you tune in for the next one, and I'll catch you on another episode.